As far as other jobs I would do online, uh, well, I'm good at editing. And actually, I just did my first paid editing job over the last week. I did a couple of them for the same person, and it doesn't pay much and not super interesting. I mean, I do it and I'm good at it, and it's just fun to do something. I like getting paid, you know. So I got a tiny bit of money from that, and so I could do that kind of thing. It is hard to work on software projects remotely, I think, but I believe the industry is now figuring out how to do that better because of the pandemic. And that as long as we're in constant communication with each other, I see no reason we need to be in the same place, actually. You know, as long as we're having Zoom meetings whenever we need to and not when we don't, and then we're producing things the rest of the time, I don't see a problem. I used to be a test manager, so I managed testers, and that was all right. It's hard for me to imagine doing that for a technology that I don't understand, and so I don't know what I need to learn. And I guess that's one of my misgivings. Is I've been out of the industry for some time. I was a geek since I was quite young. I believe I did my first computer stuff when I was in sixth grade, using a TRS-80 or TRS something Radio Shack thing with a cassette tape as a storage medium. And I wrote my first programs at that time, and they had to do with some of the themes in my life that have carried through, about randomization and things like that. So I made some randomy graphic-y things, and had some ideas that later became other things in college. But anyway, I was doing software things all the rest of the time. And then after high school, I went to work with software at University of Washington, and that was really fun. I got to work with these guys who, for me, were older. They were probably like 30 or something, but they seemed older to me. And nice guys. And I just lucked into this great job and got to work with different departments, different academic departments and things within the university, and professors and grad students. Sometimes I taught them how to use software, so I taught classes. I installed and maintained a local area network, and we had written a security program. It was not me. It was a guy named John Roden, nice guy. He wrote a security thing so you'd have to log in because it didn't come with that. I think it was IBM LAN at the time. And so at one point I ran 3 different labs, and so I figured out the staffing for those because my boss disappeared, so I just started doing her job. And that was kind of fun, scheduling things, and I'd help people in the labs. And so I had a variety of jobs in that, and it was really great because I got kind of a feeling for different parts of this budding industry. I went to Windows 1.0 classes, programming classes. I didn't really like it. Windows 1.0 didn't really go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere till like 3.1 or something. But and then IBM would actually send us hardware to play with. This was just one of the things I did, and that was really fun because we would get this stuff that nobody had seen, and it was coming out of their R&D department. So they weren't even ready to ship it yet, and they're asking us, "Well, will you play with this and see what you do?" And I think I could do better doing that now than I did then. I didn't understand who was on the other end and what they might want. And I never even talked with them. They would just send us this stuff. And then my boss would say, well, play with this and see what you can do with it. Like that, a graphics kernel system, GKS, that they sent us. I don't even know if that ever got released as a product. But we messed around with that a little bit. And then they sent us like a Laserdisc player to see if we could program stuff to seek spots on it or something, make some software for it. And we didn't do that great at that one either. Now I could think of tons of ideas. Yeah. I do have some really great ideas for software that could be developed. And there was actually 2 projects, one of them at Google and one of them at Microsoft, that have to do with virtual reality, in particular overlaying pictures and video into Google Streets or Microsoft whatever street thing, their programs, and both of those companies were doing work on that, I believe, and I never saw anything out of it, and it really bums me out because what I want to do is create a virtual environment here where photos are taken and they have the GPS location and direction, and then those get stitched onto the environment, and of course, a lot of image processing would then meld them in correctly, and then someone can walk around and they can dial forward or back in time, or they don't have to even be here. They could be here though with an overlay on their thing, and then they could see the overlay. But the more important, bigger audience, right? is people all around the world would be able to walk around this virtual space, and they would be able to dial forward and back in time, and there'd be indicators in the UI of like, is there something in the past here? So you wouldn't say you want to go in the past. It would tell you, you'd just be able to look around and be like, and you might have filters you turn on and off for photos of like, tell me about what else I can see in this area. And seeing a historical thing as opposed to the current one is an obvious one. The set then, the space, the virtual space is a mapping of a real physical space. And I have a lot of control over this space. I control who I invite. I can decide where to put art. I can, do a lot of stuff here. I can plant trees, and that changes that area. And so if we had people here who were recording their experience in the set, right, then in the UI you should be able to follow an individual camera, right, a camera that is recording a lot of stuff, and it's probably doing video, because video is just better. But still, you could also do still shots as well. It doesn't hurt. And of course, still shots can be taken out of video. But I'm thinking it's just the way that we do capture things, and also in terms of file size. Video is more bandwidth intensive, but we have them both. And you could also follow a character, and so each clip that's embedded into this virtual environment, you could follow the camera to the next clip, or you could say follow a person, and it follows the person. And you could switch that. You could just click on a person and say follow. Maybe right click on them. I don't know. But the idea is that you can switch your perceptive channel really easily. It could also tell you what other cameras are in the area, and maybe even show you more than one camera on the same screen. If nothing is happening in a scene, or it's boring, then people can rate it down on that clip, or they can rate it up. So the entire length of the clip, the time of the clip, you're getting votes on what's the level of interest, and it could be just dislikes, and so every second of it has a certain number of likes and dislikes, and you can easily then send someone to something that's interesting. Boring shit gets blocked out, You can also categorize clips as far as what they are. For example, a music video clip would be different, and it should be differently discoverable than a discussion about something. Some people want the music videos a lot, and some people don't care about that. Instructional, how instructional is that clip? Is it a clip of Brian just sitting here rambling at the camera with random ideas about stuff? There's a fair amount of those. I'm quite serious about this piece of software. I think it should exist. The only reason I mentioned this, my vision, publicly, is because it's a fairly obvious idea, and I don't know why no one's done it yet. And I would love to work on a project like that, doing testing the UI and spec as it's developed, and then also I'd like to have a lot of input on it, because I can see it in my head, and I've played with video and stills in different ways, and I know a little bit about how stitching of panoramas works, and how our image processing has gotten to the level where we should easily be able to incorporate a large number of pictures of the same place into a virtual environment that is that. Some files have the incorrect date on them. I notice I've been collecting video clips that have the wrong date. Luckily, I keep them in folders with the right date. Those should actually be, I should use XF Edit to edit as a batch all of them and change the date to the correct date. The time is also incorrect. That is very inconvenient. If you had a set like this and you were inviting really interesting people into it, so they're interviewing each other, they're playing games and making stuff and saving the world, doing cool stuff, cooking some food, all the things people got to do, they're doing it in an ideal way here, hopefully. And damn, it's windy out there. The leaves are falling on me. Then you have the content in the set to broadcast out. And what's cool is you're not just live broadcasting it. In fact, being live isn't as important. Maybe you'd be a week behind or something. It would be nice to have it somewhere in the ballpark, because I'm imagining some audience performer interactions with this, okay? Live has its advantages and disadvantages, but we could shoot for it maybe. I'm just thinking from a technological aspect, and particularly from a bandwidth aspect. I don't have enough bandwidth to upload as much stuff as I would want to. Not if I'm going to have multiple cameras every day recording stuff, and I may want to limit the number of cameras and have them be a little bit more official. I mean, part of my idea is everybody does their own, and that's possible. They could use a Telcel network, perhaps. But I'm concerned about the amount of bandwidth. Well, we can come to that when we get to it. But the point is that even already I've had people come here, sign model releases for me to be able to use their image. Basically, that I'm going to broadcast this, and I would like to go further and really make it so that other people are also creators and editors, get access to that. And I've had this crazy idea lately. This is one of these videos where I'm kind of just rambling on about things, but I've had this idea lately where I'll just publish conglomerations of clips. It's easier for me. Other people can go through there and clip them out. I'll also try and do that too. In fact, I should name all the clips that I have. And I can publish the ones that don't have too many topics in them. But right now I talk about so many different things, and I'm attaching everything together with everything else to a nearly insane degree of, wanting to understand very complex systems. And so I don't know. I don't know if we'll be able to cut these into little pieces and then reassemble them. Like each spot, actually, I can do that. Like if I go to a spot and I talk about stuff, then that can be about that place. But the problem is there's a lot of other stuff sometimes within it, and we may wish to cut those bits out and then collect them. If I'm talking about slope or something or whatever things I talk about. Oh, it's nice out here. I can see why people like dry, hot places. Winter gets cold here mainly because I'm not prepared. I don't have always good enough clothing. It's better than it was, but this winter wasn't bad. I spent some cold-ass winters here. Well, that's it for now, I guess. I've gone off on various tangents and forgotten what I'm even talking about or what I'm supposed to be talking about. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. I guess I'll go look at my list. I have a list. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to do anything. I gotta do things. And I gotta fill up some dog dishes with more water. Bye.